Hello, everybody. Good morning. I'm Carolyn, your host. Welcome to our weekly mini session, where each week we deliver our very best on hot acro topics in a bite-sized workshop format. These workshops are live on our main Facebook page, as well as our certified teachers group. We also have them recorded, so you can reference all of the previous topics in the AcroDance Resource Center. Now, if you have any questions while we're live today, please feel free to put them in the comments section, and we'll do our best at the end of our presentation to answer them. Either way, as always, please be sure to let us know where you're watching from, and feel free to give your studio a shout out in the comments below. Our community is truly everything, and we're so grateful that you're here with us. Today's topic, so timely for this time of year, is costuming, and we're thrilled to have special guest Wendy Holmquist with us. Wendy is an acrobatic arts examiner and has been involved in dance for 48 years, so she knows what she's talking about. She's a studio owner, and alongside her daughter, they love to see their students achieve skills safely and technically correct. We love that. Their studio has been taking acrobatic arts exams since 2013 and have even had students complete the Acrobatic Arts Graduate Study Program. Good morning. Hello, Wendy. Welcome.
Good morning, and welcome to you too.
Thank you. It's good to have you here. All the way from Thunder Bay, Ontario. How's everything there this morning?
It is actually quite nice and sunny. However, we're calling for all kinds of rain, so we'll see whether that comes or not. I'm hoping not.
Yes. Well, leave it to Canada. We'll give you anything in 5 minutes. It'll change. And in this time of year, lots of interesting things happening. But speaking of interesting, you're going to talk to us about costuming today. Is that correct?
Yes, it is.
Awesome. Well, based on your resume, and I know that many people here have worked with you before, I know you've got some great things coming for us. So I'll pass things over to you now. I'll mute my screen and my voice so that you can take it away.
All right. Thank you, Carolyn. All right. Good morning, everybody, and welcome. And as Carolyn mentioned, I'm here to discuss costuming with you. And that's a real hot topic, especially in the last 10 years or so. It's become more so because children's costuming, and I'm going to stick mostly to children's costuming today because I'm assuming that's where most of us are concerned for competitions and recitals. The professional world, costuming takes on a whole different outlook. So we're going to stay geared towards children and competition costuming and recital costuming. It's taken on a diverse world of what is correct for a child to wear these days. And we've leaned a lot more to being maybe a little more risque or sexualizing children in a lot of routines. And the community is asking that that gets pulled back, that we are being conscious of children and their bodies and making sure that they are comfortable and dressed appropriately for their age, covered appropriately so that they're not exposing themselves in the competitions or on the stage. Lots of studios have gone to the no tights format, or always have been the no tights format, but we have to be careful then when you are doing no tights in a competition or on the stage, especially in an AcroDance where there is a lot of movement with legs up in the air, dancers are upside down, they are doing splits and tumbling in the air, that the bodysuit is fitting properly and appropriately. And if you are a no tights person and your dancers are in bodysuits or shorts or something like that, it would be advisable to body glue them so they stay in place. You want to adhese them, have them adhesive so that they stay secure. And same with tops. If you are a studio owner who likes your children to be in crop tops or bras, the sport bra type of look, you want to body glue at the top and underneath their breasts so that they're not exposing themselves, falling out accidentally with all the intricate movements that are happening in an acro routine. So the purpose of costumes is to be aesthetically pleasing, to reflect the mood and the intention of the music and the choreography, to enhance the performance and the appearance of the child that is wearing the costume. nothing is more heartbreaking to be sitting in an audience and hearing the conversation around you gasping because the child looks uncomfortable in their costume, or it's just too revealing. We have to remember that when you put a child on the stage, they are being judged on their appearance. And we know that in this time now, everybody is very aware of body acceptance and not body shaming in that. But on that same note, you want to ensure that you are not allowing children just to go out there where even the tiniest built child may have a little bit of a pot belly, or their legs might be very, very white and bow-legged, and a pair of nice tights on them just makes that appearance cleaner looking, more aesthetically pleasing, and less likely to be distracting from the beautiful work that they would be doing on the stage. So you really want to ensure that what you're doing is going to enhance the visual appearance of the whole performance. And children, young performers will definitely put up a fuss if it's something that they're not used to wearing. If they're a crop top short type of child with no tights, putting them into a full length bodysuit or a unitard, something that covers them, might make them uncomfortable. I do advise that once you've picked your costume and it gets delivered, that you do a full rehearsal with the routine. With your child doing it full out, because you never know how it's going to ride on them. Sometimes even a full length bodysuit or unitard may slide down in front. So you want to address those issues before they get on the stage. Dancers shouldn't, especially acro dancers, you want to be aware of buckles. If there's a buckle or a belt looking, or large rhinestones, complaints from young children, especially when they're doing chest rolls or anything that's lying on their stomach or rolling around on the floor, it hurts. So you don't want that distraction coming from them unless they've practiced and rehearsed it a lot of times, so that they've got accustomed to that pressure being there, or learn to compensate how to hold their body so that they're not putting that pressure on their stomach if there's a belt buckle there. Or I know my granddaughter, we bought her a costume with a zipper up the back. Beautiful costume. She complained about it every time. So was that the best option for her to be able to focus on doing her best performance? She got used to it after, lots of rehearsing in it, but it definitely wasn't her favorite costume to put on. And when you're putting children out on that stage, you want them to be focused on being able to perform and be comfortable and just shining. So you don't want what they're wearing to be a distraction to themselves or to the audience. So I have a few pictures of just some things that I think, like, I'm not promoting any specific company or that, but we're looking for long lines, something. So if you're putting something on the legs, you want to try to bring it right to the feet. That way you don't accentuate any bends in the knees. You don't cut off at the calf and shorten the leg length. You really want to continue that extension right to the end of their feet. On this one here, we've got a bit of an open side. So they're beautiful costumes, and a lot of people put their children in that. You do want to be aware of children that maybe are a little more, rounder, and that these side pieces aren't going to cut them and just make them again uncomfortable or be distracting to the overall appearance of the performance. Again, they're being, especially in competition, they're being marked on the whole overall presentation. And if there's a part of a costume that actually pulls your eye, doesn't matter how professional a judge is, they may not say anything about it. They may feel for the child if it's looking uncomfortable or too tight or too small. You might get an 8 out of 10 or a 10 out of 10 on the costuming still. But if the eye is being pulled away from the long lines and being pulled away from the choreography because of the costuming, because of how it's fitting a child, you're not giving them the best opportunity to showcase their work. Of course, color is great. I mean, it pops on the stage. And you've got all kinds of variations. You can use anything you want, color, as long as it, again, suits the mood of the routine and accentuates the performance. If it's an upbeat piece of music, of course, you want to have upbeat type of costume. If it's more a sedated piece of music, cream colors or pastels are great to wear. If you are wearing a white or a light color pant or undergarment, you want to be really aware of your dancers and their bladder control. Sometimes you see that leak, and that's not what we want to be seen on the stage. I did have a senior dancer that really just did struggle with that. We were very aware, and as much as she took precautions, we dressed her in dark color costumes. So if something happened, there was nothing there that we were seeing on the stage. You really just want to be aware of that. When you're coming to male performers, you want to be putting them in a dance jock, or so that, again, it's more just being clean lines and not distracting to the audience. They're not uncomfortable. People aren't getting, again, their focus drawn to, other things that maybe just they need to have concealed. Same with your young women in their bra tops and that. I know a lot of costuming doesn't allow for real secure bras, but you do need to make sure that, again, that you are holding their breasts secure, and that they are well covered and not going to pop out, slide out. I think we've all probably, if we've been in the industry for any length of time, have seen that poor child have that costume malfunction. And bless their hearts, some of them go on and manage to finish their performance holding up a costume, and that's the last thing you want them to have to be worried about. When we do get to our young male performers, something along this line is really appealing, especially in your young boys. Here's a male and a female costume of the same style, similar. It's a lot of people like to put the young males out shirtless or with open shirts. Again, unless it's a mature teen boy, that's not necessarily the most appropriate look for a young boy. We talk about sexualizing girls, but in my personal opinion, I feel that we're doing that same thing to boys sometimes when we put them out there shirtless. Boys, young males, with the openness about being comfortable in your gender identity and things like that. Any kind of costuming that reflects the child personality and the music and the performance is acceptable in this day and age. If a young gentleman wishes to wear a pink shirt and fitted shorts, or even if he wishes to wear a skirt, if that reflects the music and reflects who he is and he is comfortable in that performance, go ahead and let him do that. When it comes to skirts in acro costumes, you really want them to be kept short just below the bottom. Half skirts are better. When you're, again, tumbling or upside down, you don't want something when a child's in a handstand to be falling and distracting in front of their faces. So you want to be aware of that kind of thing. Again, you finish your costume line from head to toe. So you're doing headstands, you're doing balances. You don't want to put a bun on top of your head. It's not necessarily a bun look. Some acro routines are very energetic. So you want to keep your hairline, your hairstyle reflective of your performance, but it still needs to be clean, tidy, whether it's braids, whether it's a low ponytail, but then again, not something that's going to get in the way of the performance. They still should be have their hair secured off their faces, unless, again, they're very well versed in a seasoned performer and open hair doesn't distract. And then when you take it down to their feet, if you are wearing acro shoes or lyrical footies or something like that, you want it the same color as their foot, or the same color as the end of their unitard, if that's what they have on, or their stirrups. I prefer a foot tight with a stirrup foot opposed to just cutting at the ankle. Again, that cut at the ankle often just brings attention to a young performer who doesn't have good control of a nice long stretch on their feet. So if you can bring that tight right down as far as you can, it doesn't bring that attention to the foot as much. Um, I think we just have one or two more pictures just I'd like to share with you. I mean, here's again a little more where it's you're fully covered, but you've got the transparent, tummy. The tights are a little bit more transparent. It's open in the back. So that kind of costuming, well contained. It still gives you that nice clean line. It's a little bit more transparent though, if you like that. But there's nothing wrong with having costumes that are, I'm just looking here, I've had one more. You've got your bodysuits. And I did have a couple two-piece ones, but I've put them aside now and I don't seem to see them. But again, you just want to really be reflecting on making it a positive look for the child. And that is ultimately our goal. I mean, if every studio has their own branding, their own look, and we go from the very slight, shorts and the crop tops right to the very completely covered children. And there's nothing wrong with any of those, but you have to be conscientious of where you are performing. If this is a family event, if it's a competition event, if the child is being judged on their performance and their overall, you want to ensure that the costume is not going to take away from that performance. You don't want, when they leave the stage, the conversation to be, oh my goodness, did you just see what that child was wearing? You want them to be, wow, that was a great costume, but really have loved what they saw in the performance and that it had enhanced their performance overall. And on that note, I don't really have much more, unless there are some questions from any of the people that are watching us today. Carolyn, have we got anything?
I'm gonna just check. I am still reeling from those gorgeous costumes. I don't know if anybody else, our dance teachers in a dance community feel that way. It's kind of the equivalent for dance teachers as getting the, what was that, the Sears wish book at Christmas every year. It's that time of year where it's just so exciting to see what options are in costuming and how that continues to evolve and change. So thank you for sharing some of that inspiration with us. It certainly got me excited.
I do find if you are ordering this year, so we have already in our studio ordered all our costumes and had them, a good chunk of them delivered already. Wow. But many of our first choice options already were not available, especially coming, well, Wiseman's for one is a standard go-to one for probably 50% of our first choice costumes were not available. So just parent or teachers, if you're looking to get started on those and you haven't, you might want to get going on them. I do know for a lot of, especially as Canadian teachers, the cost of shipping has gone right through the roof between that and the exchange. So a costume that looks like it's $30, $40, all of a sudden becomes $120. So that's something else that just to be aware of. I mean, if you have a studio where your families are on budgets, it takes some work to find those nice costumes. We don't have the luxury of having seamstress up here in Thunder Bay that do a good job on costumes. So everything we have pretty much is ordered. There are seamstresses. I'm not saying there aren't any, but just getting the fabrics, getting the material, getting the time to get into them. Our go-to is to order. And I think most of the studios up here do order all their costumes. So.
Right. Well, I was going to say that might be a good call to action too. I don't know that many people have questions. That was so thorough and so many great points, which I'll come back to. But I know, yes, there is issues with the supply chain and budgets with the pandemic and families reeling and prices going up all over the place. So it is a very real thing, but maybe that's something in the comment section. People are watching this on the replay or watching live. Anything, any tips or ideas, ways that your studio is sort of working through those challenges? It would be a great opportunity for our community to have that conversation and share best practices, knowing that we really have a global audience. And so Heather says that they're having to reorder due to a company's ship exploding at sea. So, you know, things you don't expect to be an issue on that end of things is very real. But I was going to say, you know, I think some things you bring up are things we know inherently about costuming, and those moments that we've seen, been witness to, or had our own students or children be exposed to, wishing we hadn't made a certain choice, or that the studio hadn't made a certain choice, or that, you know, we hadn't ourselves made that choice. So aesthetics is so important. But also I think, and you talked about this on many levels, with just costuming itself, the confidence and making sure, and it can be hard in a group, right? But that everybody feels confident in what they're wearing, because that's what you want them to step on that platform with, is pure confidence. They're not worried about anything other than the job they have to do on stage, correct?
Right. And I mean, our groups are all very diverse children, from, you know, your tiny little petite one to your larger dancer and that. And when you're trying to outfit a group, you definitely have to be we would love to be able to put them all in those, you know, Broadway looking outfits where they all are uniform, but that's not our reality for sure. So it does make it more challenging again to find costumes that are going to be pleasing to all of them, and look up, you know, on all of them. You get costumes that are asymmetrical, or one arm or one leg. Sometimes that just doesn't work. Lots of times I find it doesn't work on the majority of children. On your very one ideal measured child, you know, that one arm costume or that one leg costume can look great, but on the other 4 in the group or 10 in the group, you know, it's oh geez, what did I just think of?
Sure. And so sometimes hard decisions have to be made. But I think overall, you know, you really did give us some things to really think about. Maybe people have already ordered their costumes like your studio has for the year, or maybe they're on the cusp of making some of those decisions, and also just taking things to the next step, considering, you know, the kind of tights, the kind of, you know, the adding length, tape and glue, which I didn't even think about the realities of those things. So what other challenges are brought by the costume itself in, you know, the performance element? So I think you really brought some great conversation to light. And I hope that if our audience here, our Acrobatic Arts community, has any further questions, they feel comfortable in sharing them in the comments, and we can always recap on those later. But like I said, sharing your best tips and resources for costuming. I know Wendy can come back into the comments later and see if there's anything she can add to that as well.
Absolutely.
Fair enough?
Yeah,
awesome.
Sure.
All right. Well, that was great, Wendy. Thank you so much for being here with us today.
My pleasure.
Yeah, thank you. And teachers, thank you for joining us. You can learn more about Acrobatic Arts and our programs at acrobaticarts.com. If you'd like more amazing content and tips and quick ideas to help you, check out our Acrobatic Arts channel on YouTube. I'll put the link in the comment section here for you. And please note that we'll be taking a break next week, but be sure to join us in 2 weeks from now for our session on creating a recital routine for preschool dancers. I know that's a hot topic, with special guest Loren Dermody. We'll see you all then. Thank you again, Wendy. Thank you, teachers. See you next time.